Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and I don't have as many options as it may appear. I obviously have two rooms. Well, I suppose this one I can't join. This is James. We've established what's going on with him. And I'm not going to play with Link and his non-existent friends in this room. First and foremost, I do believe that I have been blocked by Link, and quite frankly, I'm glad that I have been. It just sucks when I don't have many options, so I've got this question mark guy to play with. I played with him in the previous recording, but I don't know if I'd rather play with him or with this person. The only reason why I would sooner join this room than his room is because I feel that if I join a room with only one person in it, that will leave two more people to join, and I think there is a higher chance of the Hunter Rank 999 room filling up than this guy's room, even though he has had a room for longer than everyone else here. So I'm going to give Urs a try. I think I've seen Urs AFK in rooms before, so here's hoping that Urs is actually here, based on the fact that this is the most recent room that's been made. I'm guessing it was only made somewhat recently, so I don't think we're at risk of Urs actually being AFK. But we'll see how things unfold at any rate. Like I said, I think this is the best decision if I'm seeking to hunt in a full group, rather than just doing two-man hunts, which I did end up doing a little bit in the previous recording, which I wasn't so fond of. Obviously, as I've explained before, I do generally prefer to hunt with other people. Well, when I say other people, I mean, plural, not one other guy, I mean like people. The reason being that hunts are just more enjoyable when you've got that, that variable of what every individual hunter is doing in the quest, and it feels like more of a team effort. It's more fun in general. I suppose some people may appreciate the challenge of being only one of two possible targets for the monster, as opposed to one of four possible targets. But I'm not here for the challenge, I'm here for the enjoyment. And for some people those things are synonymous, but not in my case. I will bring the Twitch chat up, and yeah, I can only hope that we will get someone soon, and by someone I mean a third person. I'm not really interested in two-manning with anyone, as I've just explained, so we'll see how we go. I'm just sick of the same suspects hosting rooms every time, because they themselves have to be room hosts. They can never hunt in any other person's room because of how they are by nature, but unfortunately people just go along with that. I wish that people knew to blacklist those players, much like I do. But I suppose if James had room in his hub, I would join, if only for the entertainment of it. And he's probably forgotten who I am again, so I don't know if we had a falling out last time I was in his room. We likely did, but I don't remember because yeah, it doesn't actually have that much importance in my mind, but the situation, I believe, is that 9 times out of 10 we do have a falling out when I join his room, so yeah, usually some kind of disagreement that relates to the fact that he is mentally disturbed. Okay, so Urs so far has not said anything, has not entered this area here where I can see them. So either this person's on a quest, or they are in the prep area, possibly AFK. It may have perhaps been more prudent of me to wait until I had actually ended up in a well-established room before going live, but oh well. You guys can enjoy the downtime that is naturally going to accompany 3 Ultimate recordings. There is not going to be a constant flow of action as I play. That was one of the things that used to bother me about 3 Ultimate in the past. Going back to, I don't know, let's say 2015, 2016, when I was playing probably more frequently. I guess between 2014 and 2016 is when I was playing the most. What I found so annoying was that I would set aside a certain amount of time in the day to play the game, but so much of that time was taken up waiting to get into a decent room, This was, well, no, not waiting to get into a decent room necessarily. It was waiting to get on a quest in whatever room I would join. So this was back in the days when you would actually have so many people playing that you could select a monster of choice. So for instance, if I wanted to kill Elatrion, I could select Elatrion and be given 4 to 6 rooms even of people hunting Elatrion, and so I could pick and choose from there. But once you got into a room, there was no guarantee that the quest was immediately going to be on the board and ready to be departed on. There was oftentimes a lot of chatting, a lot of getting ready for the quest, which culturally is quite nice, but it was frustrating to have to set aside so much time that ended up being dedicated to chatting and stuffing around instead of actually getting things done in the game. You know, I was very driven and very objective focused, and so I wanted to get a certain amount of things done in a certain amount of time, and that was difficult to do in that community. Now, obviously, you don't want to be on the opposite end of the spectrum, where, for example, in Generations Ultimate, it's not as bad now, but it certainly was this way in the past. As soon as you joined a room, better be ready to get on that quest right now, as soon as possible. Do not wait. Look at this guy. Absolutely no hesitation whatsoever. Straight to the quest giver, for it is his right to post whatever he wants. I don't know what that sort of behavior is about, but it might have something to do with self-importance. Well, never mind. He's not actually posting. 9 times out of 10, when someone does that, they're immediately posting a quest. I'm not sure what Urz is doing, possibly AFK, like I suggested, but anyway. I'm about to sneeze, that's why I'm not continuing the thought. I need to get out of the habit of talking while I'm about to sneeze, it's ridiculous. Now, this is the thing, there's always a balance to everything. You don't necessarily want a situation where it's difficult to actually get on a hunt in a reasonable period of time, but you also don't want to be rushed into a hunt. Unfortunately, that balance just wasn't struck in the past with this game, and it certainly wasn't struck in later games, because once Monster Hunter moved to the portable systems again, namely, I should just say system, singular, once it moved back to a portable system, namely the 3DS, it seemed that there was an urgency there to get on a quest as quickly as possible, which was in stark contradistinction to the community of this game, but still, that didn't suddenly make me think, oh, this is great, I'm glad that I can get so much done in a short period of time. It had gone too far. It was actually stressful to be hounded by people in less than 2 minutes of me joining a room to get on the quest and depart. I just joined the room, I need to A, establish what we're hunting, and then B, organize my loadout to suit the hunt in question. Unfortunately, that was deemed unreasonable in those communities. When I discussed Generations Ultimate and how they behave in that game, or how they did behave prior to the release of Rise, that was not a phenomenon that began in Generations Ultimate. That was something that very much started in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. And it carried all the way through that generation of Monster Hunter, and no doubt would have continued in 5th generation had the SOS system not been invented. In fact, it's precisely because of that style of play, or that lack of principle, the principle of getting ready for a hunt. Like, there's no notion of that. These people just want to get on the quest as soon as possible. It's precisely because of those people that the SOS system was created. It's sort of a changing of the guard when it comes to culture, generationally speaking, among gamers. There's no more, or there's much less patience and a whole lot more, let's get things done immediately. I want enjoyment immediately. I want results immediately, etc., etc. You don't work for anything anymore. That's one of the changes generationally in modern gamers, and as I've explained before, that actually filters into so many other areas of society as well. I mean, just look at the progress, or the way technology has progressed generally. It's all about convenience to the extreme. It's the same idea as the idea of getting everything immediately. And so that's sort of what the SOS system is. And I guess it's less a reflection of Capcom's desire to steer players in a certain direction, and more indicative of the fact that players aren't just playing Monster Hunter differently now. They don't want to organize hunts in this way anymore, where they join a room and chat to people, not necessarily sit there chatting for 10 minutes, but, at least communicate and establish some sort of rapport with hunters individually, and then depart on hunts after assessing what people need, what people want, what expectations do you have of this room, how are we going to coordinate hunts under those circumstances. There is none of that anymore, because, again, there's no desire for it. It's all about instant, whatever I need. I want to hunt a kitten, I'm in that hunt now, like immediately. I'm immediately in that hunt. I don't have to think about it, I don't have to talk to people, I'm there, and I'm doing it. When you skip all of those steps, yeah, it's more convenient, but you've lost the essence of something special. And I guess it's complaints such as those that require such an extensive... it requires such extensive development on my side that it's almost not worth mentioning part of the time. But, when I sit around saying 5th gen is an embarrassment, or that 5th gen is a departure from the essence of Monster Hunter, that's part of it. That's an aspect of what I'm talking about. It's the idea of just completely stripping away the things that made Monster Hunter meaningful, just for the sake of convenience, for the sake of streamlining, for the sake of making it more modern. What's modern? Well, sometimes there are very almost emotive and unique, special things that made a past creation, setup, etc. meaningful and, reflective of almost a creative art form, but unfortunately, there is a departure from that. Look at architecture and the amazing craftsmanship of carpenters of the past. Well, that sort of disappeared, didn't it? That's the idea. I think modernization and progress should be very carefully regulated. I don't think it's always a positive thing, because you end up losing things that are special. Nat Pescatore says, I never see a streamer play Switch Axe, would you play it? Well, I do play it, and I am a streamer. I will admit that I don't play it often. Is honestly so predictable. I've just sat here ranting about something for however long now, and he is totally unresponsive. Remember when before I had even joined this room, I said, I've seen this guy go AFK in rooms. Well, it's happening. If you're going to make a room, be responsive. Actually express an interest in hunting. Don't waste people's fucking time, because it is a waste of time when people join this room, sit here for 10 minutes, and you don't do anything. You are just gone. You're somewhere else. It's a waste of time because we're waiting for something that's not going to happen, and that is you actually wanting to play the game. You're a dickhead. That's what you are. Fuck off. Again, if it's a one-off, it doesn't matter, but this is not a fucking one-off. I predicted what was going to happen in that room, because I've seen it before. Link has made a new room for his friends, of which there are none, and they simply do not exist. He's not going to have any joining. I may as well demonstrate the fact that I'm blocked by him. Maybe I wasn't blocked in the first place. Maybe there was just an error that I interpreted to be him blocking me. Why am I joining a room with him anyway? I wanted to demonstrate the fact that he's blocked me. Maybe it's not that he blocked me, maybe it's that he kicked me immediately when I joined last. I don't remember. But anyway, he closed the last room for some reason. It was previously called Berserk, now it's called Full Moon. And I don't understand why he had to close that room and remake this one. Maybe he had a disconnection, I don't know. But I don't especially want to hunt with him. I'd rather hunt with the question mark guy at the top of the room list. Hello Bread Yeezers, hello Kodoku, and hello N10. N10, if you'd like to play, let me know. Friends room. What friends, man? You don't have any. We're not talking about the random people that you flirt with through short messaging. I mean actual friends that you play with regularly. You don't have any. And if you do, I'd rather imagine they should be a little more selective with the friends that they establish for themselves. Because you're a dork. That's the bottom line. Is sure that you... Should I translate that to mean you're definite? Is sure that you not? Well, so am I, my friend, so am I. Alright, N10, I'm not going to give this guy the satisfaction of kicking me, so I'll just leave on my own. He can interpret that as he likes. He can interpret that as me leaving in a huff because he said I'm not his friend, which would be quite funny. But, no. What I'm instead going to do is I'm going to join this room with the question mark guy, with whom I played yesterday, and I'm going to have N10 join this room, and that's 3 people. That leaves only 1 other person to join, and we'll have a full room, and I think this is going to be a much more rewarding and enjoyable room to be in than a room with fucking Link. Anyway. Midnight Madness. I'm assuming this guy's here. He's been playing fairly regularly, which is nice. It means that I have a good read on what I can expect when I join a room with him. And it's generally positive with him. He is earnestly making his way through the game. He's approaching things sensibly. And, yeah. I don't have any real criticism of his playstyle. He did at one time say he was pretty bad, but he seems fine to me. Okay, so Black Diablos. There's nothing that I can really use to make this quest fun, but I'll use a slime sword and shield. Destruction Demolisher. Alright, he is here, good. I'm happy to see that. Not for the first time, N10, you have proved to be a boon to the livestream and the future of the livestream, because, yeah, I don't really want to be hunting with 2 people, and this just makes it much nicer. And there's an incentive for people to join this room over the Link room, hopefully. I have to stress, I've never been in a room with Link where he's chatting with people that seem to be his friends, okay? I've never seen that happen. He's usually in a room on his own, literally on his own, and then, if he's not, I'm in the room with him and they're all random people. He doesn't have friends, okay? Now, I don't care if he has friends or not. I don't particularly have friends here in this game. I sort of do. I guess N10 would be an example, and I guess I'm developing a friendship with this question mark guy, and I guess Tarbitra. Okay, I do have friends in this game after all, but it wouldn't bother me if he didn't have friends. It's the fact that he makes the room saying playing with friends, and he has none to play with. And what he instead does is he tries to flirt with female characters in the game. What kind of detachment from reality is required to behave in that sort of way? I don't know. But anyway, let's depart on this quest. I could have pursued that conversation further. When he said, "You're definitely not one of my friends," or words to that effect, I could have said, "Why? Because I'm using a male character?" But then that would be pursuing a line of discussion that's not really worthwhile. I mean, I'd rather be hunting than creating animosity between us. Anyway. So, Sword and Shield on a Black Diablos works well enough for me. The legs are easy to hit, and obviously I hope to get a knockdown so I can aim for the chest, and that is the strategy. Simply put. And obviously, all the while, the health of the monster is being eaten away by slime damage. I didn't bring sonic bombs, but maybe N10 did. He did. But unfortunately, surely you're not enraged. No, you're not. I was gonna say, no one had hit you. Not that I had seen anyway. Oh, are we all running slime? That's a little bit excessive. I independently decided to use slime, but I guess it's quite easy for 3 people to independently decide to use slime. In this particular game. I suppose this is the only game where you can technically decide to use slime. There is no slime status in other games. It was changed to blast, and I would say that it is different enough to be called blast, and then considered to be a separate status, because slime really is truly broken. I was hoping I'd be able to roll underneath that tail. Of course, my Rocksteady will not protect me from a roar from this monster. That's worth mentioning. See, those sudden tail swings are just so annoying. They are simple, but very effective in hitting you. And I don't want to engage the monster in that exit area. That's the Diablo special going right back to 1st gen. You're trying to catch up to the monster who was charging, and then you immediately get a tail swing because of it. I'm really not enjoying this fight, I have to confess. I do think that the slime damage will be getting this quest over and done with very soon. I'm not particularly interested in the horns. I don't really want any Diablo stuff, I don't think. I'm pretty sure that I don't need it. Not to my understanding. Did I make the Diablo's bow in this game? Can't remember. I may have done. Don't know if you saw that, but I was attempting to hit the monster, and due to my short range, I just missed all of my swings. Which was sad. Slime explosions on the feet are really helping to knock this monster down. See, I mean, come on, the fucking base of the tail hits me. At that point, it's very difficult to avoid that attack. Well, that's coming my way. Fucking hell. To be honest, slime and blast do work very similarly. Bread users. I don't know if the build-up is faster with slime or not. I don't think it is. I actually rather like slime because it actually changes color as you build up, so it's much clearer to the player as to when it's going to explode. The main reason why slime is so much stronger than blast is because the explosion deals so much more damage than blast. It really is as simple as that. Now, the reason why I like to call slime a different status to blast is because, again, the amount of damage that they deal is just not in the same universe, and second of all, they do function differently visually. I mean, your blast build-up just creates a bigger looking explosion that's building up. It's like this ignition that's building on the monster visually. I was stuck in Tremor, for God's sake, you stupid black dragon thing. Anyway, yeah, slime I think is much nicer in that the color does change. You go from green to yellow to red, and then it explodes and then it goes back to green. I think that's much nicer and cleaner. But of course in concept, it makes more sense for weapons to have blast because there are more monsters that could possibly give you blast, whereas slime is a very Brachydios sort of thing. It's very specific to that monster. So I think it does make sense that they changed it to Blast. But as I say, I think Slime functions better visually. But yeah, it was good that it was only in one game. You can enjoy it just for the game that it's in. I suppose like anything that's first introduced, it just dominates the game in question. Blast/Slime was first introduced here, and it became the dominating damage dealer of the game. You had Insectglaive/mounting damage introduced in 4 and 4 Ultimate, and that completely dominated that game. I would say the introduction of, not that it's stuck around, but, you know, styles in Generations Ultimate with Valor style completely trivializing longsword and heavy bowgun. That dominated that game. Capcom just really likes to make things that are terribly overpowered. Again, there's a debate that rages in my own mind as to whether it's intentional or not. Maybe Capcom are so insecure about the mere idea that they will introduce something new that no one wants to use, that they actually make it so fucking strong that it dominates the game, and then everyone uses the new thing, and Capcom sits back and, you know, they're so tickled by it, they go, oh, look, everyone's using our new thing. And all I'm thinking is, why are you so demonstrably incapable of creating a balanced game, Capcom? Well, I have a distinct feeling that they have no intention of doing that. I think they like it when something in particular is just really overpowered, and it's usually something that Capcom wants you to use because it's new and shiny. Ooh, check this out. I suppose it does make sense as you go into future games. You may go into future games with more of a willingness to use something in particular that was first introduced in a previous game because you would have used it a lot in the previous game, you've become comfortable with it, you accept that it's no longer as strong as it used to be, but because you are comfortable with it, you're more likely to use it. It's an interesting thought, and I consider it in those terms to try and make sense of why Capcom would do that. I think Capcom are pretty fucking dumb sometimes, but I think they're smart enough not to intentionally, or rather unintentionally, have an imbalanced game every iteration. So I think it's all calculated. Diablo's weapons having slime awaken. It is a good question. I don't know where it comes from, as you say, but it works well enough. I don't mind it. Why does a Kelby bow have slime? Why does anything have slime that's not Brachydios? I mean, that was the conundrum. That's precisely why slime changed from slime to blast. It's because it only really works as a Brachydios thing, because he's the only monster with slime on him. And we don't want to start making all these monsters have slime on them. That's silly. So, blast was a good choice. Slimy Teostra. I'm trying to remember what was put on the board. It was, I think it was a Desert 2 monster quest. I'll just go with a raw weapon, how about that? I'll go with Raw Rapid, or yeah, Raw Rapid. Eclipse Bow, right? Yeah, Rapid level 5 on charge 3. Looking good. I only made this a few recordings ago, and I don't think I've used it since then, so I'm about to make use of it again, and I believe I'm correct in saying that there is, in fact, an option to use power coatings, which is extraordinary for this bow. Makes it very strong. That is not a desert quest. I mean, I can live with it not being one. By the way, Nat, I will use Switch Axe. I forgot until now that you requested for me to use the Switch Axe. I will do that, if you're still watching. But, well, I suppose I would just use it on my own anyway, but still. I'd prefer to do it for the person who requested it rather than for myself, because I can assure you I don't especially enjoy using the switch axe. Alright, I think we're good to go. My inventory is filled with things that I don't need, but I'm unlikely to carve anyway. Certainly not for the Pink Rathian. Maybe I will for Purple Ludroth. Back in Portable Third, I called him Pink Ludroth because he's pink, right? That's just what he is. But they decided to name him Purple Ludroth instead. Because I suppose you've already got Pink Rathian, so can't have Pink Ludroth. Admittedly, Pink Rathian and Azure Rathalos did not exist in Portable Third, but I think they knew that they were going to bring those subspecies back, so this is how they approached it. With that taken into consideration, I suppose it makes sense. The translation team went with this. I'm not sure how the main is for shot damage. I'm just going to guess that because it's so easy to hit, it's probably not that great for shot damage, whereas the head, on the other hand, would be seemingly far superior. Or presumably far superior. Bit hard to aim for the head at this point, though. Ugh. I'm not going to stress myself out exclusively hitting the head. Yeah, I'm not doing great, am I? Not my finest hour, as they say. A Ludroth head is a little annoying to hit. I will admit that. There goes the main. The main may very well be a decent shot zone. I know it's good for Blade Master, which is often a good guide for shot damage, but it doesn't always perfectly cross over. I think you're about to die, to be honest. I'm not even using my power coatings, I'd better do that. I'm still doing very good damage, but I could be doing it more. I'm surprised you weren't flinched by that attack. You're a rather stout monster, aren't you? He's taken a bit of a beating so far. Oh, there you go, this is the death of the monster for sure. And there you go. That was a nice 360 that I did, which was entirely unnecessary, but perhaps cinematically appealing. Oh, it's just max potions. Excuse me, mega potions. If we were carving max potions, that would be exciting. Oh, fuck off with your rations. You think I want a ration from this monster? Unbelievable. That was my chance to get a rare Nahabra material that I would rather not grind on my own intentionally. Getting rations instead. Of course, that is the nature of quests like these. If there's an invading monster, perhaps get a life. Dinosaur fuck. Alright, so we do have to... There isn't an invading monster, and we do actually have to wait for this next one to spawn. I don't know what that's about, but fine. Typically, if you've got an invading monster, it would make sense for one of two monsters to have to spawn after the killing of the first one, but let me rephrase that, because that was rather unclear. The second of two monsters needing to spawn after the death of the first one is usually on account of the presence of an invading monster, because you can't have three monsters in the area at the same time. And by area, I mean locale. So I'm not sure why we had to wait for this Gold Crown Small Pink Rathian to spawn, but we certainly did. That was a thing that happened. Is it a Gold Crown Small? I've got a feeling that it is. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Wait for the head to come back. Broke something. Don't know if that was me or someone else, but it was satisfying nonetheless. That was going to be Rathian charging at me. I think she's going to have a worse time than the Ludroth, to be honest. I have a distinct feeling that had I been shooting my power coatings from the beginning during the Ludroth hunt, I probably still would have had enough to kill this Rathian without actually totally running out of them. Tarbo Show has joined the room, which is good to see. I discovered this recently. If your intention is to skip the death scene of the monster, you can actually still press plus with the menu open to skip the cutscene, which is interesting. You'd think that opening the menu would cause you to interact with the menu exclusively, but you can still skip the death scene with the menu open using plus, which is quite funny. At least to me, maybe not to you. Yeah, you do have a terrible name, Guy. He says in the chat, if you think you find it difficult saying my name, just call me Nameless. No. You're not Nameless. You've got a bunch of question marks in your name, so I'm going to call you Question Mark. It's not a very good name. Quite frankly, there's no way to refer to you in a way that would sound good, so I'm at peace with that. I'm at peace with calling you Question Mark, and with that sounding bad, that was a Gold Crown Small Pink Rathian. I'm glad that I saw that and didn't just skip through it at a speed that prevented me from seeing it, which I do often do. Turbo Show's also going to call him Question Mark or Question Marks. Speaking of Switch Axe, Axe of Hades. What do we got? Now this is a desert-based 2 monster quest. Ask and you shall receive, although I didn't really ask it, I was just under the misapprehension that there was such a quest posted last time. Sorry, it was Diablos. No. I remember Sand Barrioth. Was there a Diablos there? Probably. Alright, so we want ice, and look, Switch Axe has been requested. I am belatedly obliging Nat Pescatore's request to equip the weapon type. And he may not be here. He must think I hate him again. Oh well. Here's the Dragon's Roar. This is probably the only reason why I want to use Switch Axe in the game. Well, if I were to say, I'd like to use this Switch Axe, this is the only possible thing it would be. Because generally I'm not excited to use the Switch Axe. But this is a very cool weapon. I like it a lot. It is Diablos and Sand Barrioth. This is the sort of weapon that you see and you go, oh yeah, I gotta make that. That's the sort of reaction that it has in people, or that it gets from people. As usual, no exchanger, but I can live with that. I want Sharpshooter. It'll make my elemental burst more accurate. Is our inventory okay? Yes. Let's depart. Look at the size of this switch axe. I'm sure I remark upon that every time I equip it, but how can I not? It's like the size of 3 hunters standing side by side. It's the width of 3 hunters standing side by side. Hello. I suppose we'll start with the Diablos, seeing as the 2 of us have appeared in a room with this monster. What the fuck am I doing? Cool drinks in the cold area. I wasn't sure if I'd get caught in that. Sonic bombs, anyone? I never bring them, because I'm lazy. Nintendo's too busy playing his music. Oh, that was a considerably delayed Sonic bomb, which sadly resulted in failure. But I can't very well complain because I'm not even bringing them. Well, I am playing foolishly, I have to say. I will admit that. Alright, let's get in there. Fucking hell. I was flinched at the perfect moment. Or literally the worst possible moment, depending on how you look at it. It was literally as I pressed X. I didn't even intend for that, sorry. It was just as I had pressed X and A to... X, A, and R to unsheath into sword mode, and I ended up just standing there doing nothing because I was flinched right at that moment. So, that was not good. I don't know if you saw that, but Tavo healed and then ran while he was being healed by himself because his connection is that bad that it looked as if he was running while healing, which is quite funny. Oh my god, I can't fucking see what's going on. This is truly awful. I was not expecting Sand Barrioth to rotate into this area. I'm just going to leave it and heal up because that is far too chaotic for me to be able to reliably heal. Which is to say, I may heal and then just keep losing health while healing, which is obviously not helpful in the long term at all. Shut up. Seems that the Sand Barrioth has left, thankfully. I'm no longer the room host, so... Oh my god, I can see who's the host. Of course it would be Tarv. Oh my god, look at this. This is extraordinary. This is unplayable. And from what I understand, everyone experiences the same thing when Tavo hosts. Because whenever I ask, everyone's like, yeah, this is really laggy. Just awful. I'm not sure if it's because Tavo has bad internet, or if he's just really geographically distant from everyone. It's hard to know for sure. I don't know where the monster is, let's find out. Oh, you were right to go in that direction. Is that you saying that you were lagging as well, Anton? I'd like to get these wings. There you go. May as well get the head at this point. Oh, very good. Very well timed. Well, look at that. Tusks and both wings broken in what feels like less than 60 seconds of confronting the monster. I would rather use the word engaging, but whatever. I chose confronting in that moment. I suppose we did confront the monster. We chased after it and started swinging our weapons at it. Well, we'll have to do our best to avoid allowing Tavo to host. It is worth mentioning that both N10 and I are probably very geographically distant from one another, and yet we still lag heavily when Tavo hosts. So what I've found is that seemingly wherever you live in the world, Tavo Show is a fucking terrible host. Which is nothing against the person, but it is a reality. Like, if we let him host, it's going to be shit for everyone, so it begs the question of how he gets by when he plays. Because obviously if other people are hosting, it must be really bad for him. My guess is that he just has really bad internet. I see no other way for that to make sense. So, and it was because of his really bad internet. I mean, it was a blessing in disguise. His internet was really bad, but it actually showed me that room-based hosting exists in this game as well. It's not the person who posts the quest, and it's not the person who created the room who hosts. It is the first person to enter the room with the monster, even in this game. It actually makes me wonder if that was always the way it worked. I know that's not how it works in Portable Third, and I don't believe that's how it works in Try. But it definitely works that way in this game, which is very interesting. And again, you know, I've been playing this game for so long, and I only found out about that very recently through playing with Tavo. So, that was definitely eye-opening. It's just one of those things that you don't notice because you assume that the host system is different to that. But when you actually see it happen in front of you, it's clear, yeah, this is actually the same hosting system of old. They actually brought it back for some reason. It was likely because that's how they could get it to work most smoothly on the 3DS, and then they just ported that to the Wii U and kept it the same. I'm not a huge fan of that, but whatever. Because in other words, if we relate that to our current circumstances, it's difficult to bar Tavo Show from hosting at any point. If we were to say, okay, just don't post anything, that would be an easy way to avoid him hosting, but if he ever ends up being the first person in the room with the monster, that's something we can't avoid. He will be the host, and we'll have to suffer the consequences. A fun thunder weapon is what's needed now. What would be such a weapon? I'm not using the gimbal Gaia, I used that recently. I'm not using Stygian Superbia. I never find the occasion to use these dual blades. I bet most of you don't even realize that I own these. I never use them. I only made them because I could, and that was a long time ago. I think I was under the impression that they would be helpful back when I made them, because when I did make them, I honestly think that I'd only been playing for about a year. I think I made them in 2014, and these materials were not in abundance in my box, so obviously I thought that they were worth making, but they're not at all. Unless I'm going up against a Rathalos or a Rathian, it's just useless. And I don't like using dual blades against those monsters anyway. So yeah, that is the situation. I could use this. Alkaid's Asterism. You see, I don't like the fact that it has max sharpness. We've been over this. I hate having to deal with that. But I don't have an alternative loadout. Fuck. Let's just use it. I never use these dual blades. I guess I do very occasionally, but it's nice to have an opportunity to use it. And technically I'm not getting a blanked out skill because the effects of attack up large from Honed Blade are still working, so Honed Blade isn't blanked out. on account of my sharpness already being at maximum. Which is refreshing, but still. I'm not seeing any exchanger. No. Alright. Let's eat this, this'll do. Weakener. Elemental resistances are not going to help me at all in this hunt, quite obviously, but I'd say Weakener is helpful. I still don't know how good Weakener is, I've always wondered. And I think maybe someone gave me a brief explanation, but it wasn't really something that stuck in my mind. N10 is using one of the worst fire hammers in the series, but it's cool. It's the Peko Flint, but Crimson Kurapeko version. There are probably worse fire hammers, to be honest. Like, for example, a second gen or first gen hammer that doesn't upgrade beyond, like, rarity 2. I'm sure they exist. But the point is that... No, maybe that's being a bit dramatic. But... And actually, rarity was not so much... No, I'm not going to get into that discussion. That's a little confusing. No, rarity was, actually, relevant to weaponry in second gen. It was armor that I think remained at... No, I'm getting confused now. There was something when it came to rarity that... That's what it was. It was monster drops. So I think monster drops never go beyond rarity 4. Weirdly enough. It's only weapons and armor that have a rarity reflecting how good they are, comparatively speaking. Yeah, these dual blades feel lovely, don't they? The range is nice, the weapon design is nice. Very smooth. Interestingly, a weapon design does make a bit of difference. I'm trying to get out of the way of that. That's a perfect demonstration of the terrible hitbox of that tail slam. But I suppose it's appropriate because it's very well telegraphed. There we go. Another opportunity to get more attacks in. Oh no. Better get my charge up a little further. See, at that range I may have actually been hit if this were Freedom Unite. I keep talking about it because I can't help it, but the range of Nagakuga's tail in Freedom Unite is obscene. It is so long. It actually extends. I mean, we've seen that the Nagakuga tail does actually extend. And it does that when he swings it normally in Freedom Unite, and it's awful. Try not to interrupt N10's hammer use there. You've taken a serious beating, you know. I'm expecting a limp at any moment. We've had 2 successful poisons. And again, we've just been beating on this monster, so I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm just trying to do everything I can with my current stamina. Alright, this has to be the death of this monster, come on. There goes the tail. Everything should be broken. And we're about to get the limp out. Let's try to prevent that. Good. Nicely done. slept kind of weird last night. My neck doesn't feel great, and my shoulders could be better. Oh, fuck. Hope you guys are enjoying the new webcam setup. It's definitely better than it was. So yeah, it's going to stay this way. Expect that. It must stay this way. I don't want it to go back to what it was. There's nothing that's going to be in these rewards, in this reward screen that would interest me, although this has actually informed me of the fact that I do have excess Cougar Fangs. It may have been a situation where I had 98 and then I took a stack of 2. You can see this is a stack of 2 right here. Which makes sense. Cougar should have at least 2 fangs in his head. Although I think we ended up getting 6 fangs there because I saw 3 stacks. I don't know for sure that they were all 2, but anyway. Charmer plus 6, water attack plus 4. Don't want it. Oh yeah. I've established the monsters that I need crowns for. So it's Great Roggy, Kurapeko, and Plesioth, I believe. Just those 3. And I think it's 1 crown for each, or I could be wrong. Perhaps in respect of Great Roggy, I need both crowns. We'll have a look. No, just 1 crown for that. Yeah, I think they all need 1 crown. And where's Plesioth? There we are. Yeah, so I need a large gold crown for all of them, I think. Yep. I need 3 large gold crowns and then I will have all crowns in the game. And that's without specifically trying to get them. I would never want to specifically try to get them. I hate doing that. It's one of my least favorite things to do in Monster Hunter, crown farming. I think everyone would agree with that. It's a terrible way to play the game. Because it's just an unsavory business. It's breathtakingly repetitive and it feels like this endless stab in the dark. It may not seem that way because when you're playing the game normally, you feel like you're very regularly getting crowns, but it's so different to that. The experience is totally different when you're specifically trying to get a crown of a specific monster. Hello, Subbertail, haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, I think it was balanced and sensible for Nagakuga's tail to be that long, but I guess when I mentioned the absurdity of it, it's just an expression of how long the range was of the tail. But I think it was an alright implementation, it felt sensible. I think that Nagakuga was made slightly too easy with the change of the tail range. What are we doing again? As always, I've forgotten. What was I considering using? Sometimes I can oh, great. I think that would be a result of the host disconnecting. Stop. Could also be my network instability. I'm not sure. The live stream is fine. Let's see what has happened. If there are 17 people online, must mean that I just disconnected somehow. You just got kicked, Doomlink. No, this guy has no reason to kick me. That would be very strange. It looks like Link agrees that... Oh, great. I'm getting an error code. This means that I'm having bad connectivity. Yeah, Entane, if you could let them know what's going on. I'm having bad connectivity. with this room host. And it's preventing me from joining. I'm getting error codes and the like. Again, it's only a theory, but that error code, I believe, means that a stable connection cannot be established between this console and that console. I can keep trying. But yeah, Link obviously agrees that he has no friends to play with, so he's taken his leave for now. But I suppose he'll have to wait another day to play. It is Steel Urugan. I'm glad that it allowed me to join. Let me... Yeah, Gunland sounds like a fun choice. Water Gunlands. What do I use for that again? The Plesioth one, right? What the fuck is the Imperial Sworn Lance? Is this... What Awaken is that? I never used this. What the... I had completely forgotten that I forged this. And I do not remember what Awaken this is. I hope it's water... Not Awaken Hammer. I hope that this is Water Awaken. If it is, that's going to be really appropriate because... Is it? No, it's Fire Awaken. Jeez. I had completely forgotten that I made this. I don't think I've ever used this on camera, to be honest. It's just one of those gaps in your personal knowledge of the weapons that you own. Alright, let's use the Deviathan, or whatever it's called. Deviathan Gunlance, there you go. Not very good if you don't have Sharpness +1. Hopefully Razor Sharp will be noticeably helpful with that small amount of white, but... Yeah, I'm quite happy with this Gunlance set though. I don't particularly want to change it again. I used to use full Steel Urugan for my Gunlance, which was nice, but it had no sharpness skills whatsoever. So I felt that I had to improve upon it. Again, it was skills-wise very nice, but again, let's stop saying again, the lack of sharpness skills does hurt with a Gunlance because of just how much it eats through your sharpness when you're shooting it and just using it in general, like with Wyvern Fires and the like. So I made this set, which incorporates Razor Sharp into what I consider to be the obvious bread and butter Gunlance skills in any Monster Hunter game. But to be honest, I almost would prefer Sharpness +1 over Razor Sharp in the case of certain Gunlances, and this would be one such example. But that's alright. I shall live with my decision. Haven't seen that heavy bowgun in a while, N10. People used to use it quite regularly. I think it's actually a pretty good normal heavy bowgun. It was called the Sphenocene God or something like that. It's a word that I don't recall, but it was something like Sphenocene God. And yeah, I think it was a well-established normal heavy bowgun in this game, with a competing heavy bowgun being Goldbeard Cedeus. In my case, however, I use the Pink Rathian heavy bowgun. This is an exceptionally large Urugan. He just seems big, look at him. You can see it as he rolls around. Thanks to Guard Up, that did actually guard the stench, by the way. Typically you can't guard stench, but with Guard Up, you can do that. I should actually take this as a Wyvern Fire opportunity. So that was quite good. I got 2 heavy shots and a wyvern fire off in that one pitfall trap. It did look like it lasted longer than one would expect it to. I suppose pitfall traps are very helpful and effective against this monster. It seemed almost unnaturally lengthy. Got this Roggy literally wasting my time, causing me to extend my guard period beyond what I intended to have it last for. Yes. I decided not to go for my shot and instead... Thank you for attacking me and not the monster. That was very helpful. Again, extending my guard period beyond what I would like. I had a feeling. I find that with that shoulder charge of the monster, I often get hit by the face more than anything else. But anyway. There we go. Speaking of hitting the face, the chin is broken, so that is now a good thing to aim for. Well, that's my fault for going towards the head. You don't need to apologize, Tavo. He did apologize, but again, it's my choice to aim for the head as the gunlance user. I mean, that is not my place. That is for Tavo to be aiming for. And he's got a good hammer for it. And when I look back at Monster Hunter Tri, of course that was a game where people just used the dragon weapons, that is Devil Joe and Elatrion. They didn't really use anything else. But I always opted for the Gemmaran hammer against Uragan in that game, even though Uragan actually took damage from Dragon. I just very much enjoyed using the primary elemental weakness. So, yeah, I was a Gemmaran hammer guy against that monster back then. I did definitely use the Elatrion hammer from time to time. I would alternate between the Gemmaran hammer and the Elatrion hammer for Uragan. I didn't often use the Devil Joe hammer for Uragan. I don't know why, but yeah. Devil's Crush P is what it was. P meaning power. That was the power version. And then, well, I don't know. I wonder if it was P for power or just P for purple, because it was purple in color. It was interesting. They didn't actually ever do that again. There were certain things, certain implementations in Tri that never returned. One was, of course, the whole bowgun setup. And then another was actually the decision to allow for 2 upgrade paths for the max upgrade of certain weapons. Basically, you would have a purple one, a green one, and I think a red one. But oftentimes it was just 2 choices. I think there were 3 possible branches. But typically, P, which was purple, would be focused on raw damage. And then the green one would be focused on affinity. And you wouldn't get as much raw damage. I think that's how it was. It could have also been slots for the green version, but I think it was a more affinity / sharpness. I don't even think it affected sharpness. I don't think either pathway had a different sharpness amount. I think it was purely raw damage versus affinity, as I recall. Again, this was over 10 years ago now. Well, not necessarily. I guess it's getting on 10 years now, because the last time I played was in 2013 when the server shut down, but yeah, it was a while ago. Everyone keeps on mentioning, to me anyway, the return of Monster Hunter Tri. When it was actually returning, or first being discussed, I was talking about it, but someone made a video recently with a very cringe-worthy choice of name for the video title. I think it was, The Impossible Just Happened in Monster Hunter. Had to hold in my lunch when I saw that. To start with, it's not impossible. There's nothing about it that was impossible. People were talking about it around the time the servers first shut down, for fuck's sake. There's nothing impossible about it. And then, second of all, it's obviously designed to draw in 5th gen players because it's just a reference to Monster Hunter as a whole somehow, which is obviously designed to appeal to people who believe Monster Hunter to be the more modern stuff. And, or at least that's how I interpret it, and it was off-putting. If the video was well put together, and I'm not going to comment on that because I didn't watch it, definitely I felt that the title of the video debased the video itself and really lowered it to a level that probably is worse than the content contained within. I forgot what was posted again. The Doomlink special. He has to enter the prep area twice for every hunt because of this. But yeah, I got everything set up for emulating Try online back in September of last year. Well, perhaps that would be incorrect to say. I got the emulator set up. I ported my save over from the Wii. You can actually play on the Wii, and I'm tempted to do that, actually. I'm certainly tempted to do that. But, that is to say, if you choose to play online. But, yeah, I really don't know how I want to approach it. Part of me does want to experience Try, and to have all of my save data on the PC instead of on the Wii, because I don't know if my Wii's going to last. I've got no idea. You just don't know. So, the longevity of the Wii console, generally speaking, is unknown. Like, how long is it going to last before they just start breaking down? Are the old Nintendo consoles of the 80s and 90s anything to go by? I don't know. But, yeah. You won't fucking believe it, but I've been so invested in what I'm talking about that I've forgotten again what we were hunting, but whatever. No fucking comment, I suppose. I'll bring a raw lance or something. Is it weak to fire? Can someone just tell me if it's weak to fire? I really want to use this Imperial Sworn Lance, sorry, it's not Sword Lance. Imperial Sworn Lance. I'd love to make use of that. Rathalos and Steel Uragan, thank you. There is no fire weakness present, sadly. I will bring Dragon, that is a common element. Steel Uragan, I think, is equally weak to Dragon as compared with standard Uragan, but I could be wrong. Maybe he's slightly less weak, but what I can assume is that Dragon would be a good choice. And with that taken into consideration, I think I will use Nero's Atrocity. No, I'm not going to do that. I've made a calculated decision to not do that. I'm instead going to bring the Selegia Ender Axe. Yeah. Where is it? There it is. I don't use this nearly enough. So let's whip this out. Again, I was debating in the past as to whether or not I should use Awaken with this Switch Axe, and I'm pretty sure I'd rather not. Pretty sure I'd rather not. But yeah, I got things set up for Try some time ago, and I've just been waiting for things to be finalized with the Try servers. I'm looking forward to returning to Lochlac, but interestingly enough, I think the period of time where I was longing most for Lochlac and wanting to return the most has passed. I'm enjoying this game a lot. You know, I'm enjoying building my character here. If I had my original Try character, maybe I would feel more inclined to keep working on it. The character that I have at the moment is a second character that I got with my second Wii, the one that I have right now, which I built on between, I believe it was late 2012 and until the server shut down, which has an HR of 220 something? I think 221. Something along those lines. And I just don't really feel like working on it. I mean, I have most of the weapons in the game, I think. I may even have basically all of them. Because, again, the hunter rank of 200 is very significant in that game. That is reflective of a lot of gameplay. And, you know, I've made most of what I wanted to make. My task, the task that I had set for myself in returning to try at that time was to basically get my old save file back, so I was driven to basically make everything that I had, which was basically everything, and, you know, that was a lot of work. I feel like that save is kind of done now. I will go back and play try, I think, just for my own enjoyment, but strangely, I think the time has passed for me to get maximum enjoyment out of that game. It's sad, but... And very strangely, I never thought I'd say this, I'm almost tempted to make a new character again, because I feel disconnected from that second character that I made. I made it so long ago, and I made it in this almost miasma of distress at the fact that I didn't have my original character anymore, and I was coming in to try. And it's strange, it doesn't feel like my character at the moment. So, I am tempted to go back and just make a new one. And experience Locklack Online again from the beginning, and probably record it, you know. I would absolutely love to record that. And I may do that. That may actually be a reason to play. That may be a reason to play. And I would enjoy that a lot. I don't know how many people are going to be playing. I'd say at the beginning, or in the beginning, there will be a lot of people, and I'd like to be involved in reaching the end game by doing that, and like joining in with everyone else, but yeah, we'll see how things play out. I'm not too sure if I want to make a new character, we'll see, but I'm very tempted to do so. I will do that. Yeah, I think I will. Once the online is well and truly ready to go. I don't think it is, it may be, I don't know. I think more people would be letting me know among my Monster Hunter friends if it were actually ready to go. But yeah, the potential enjoyment is there, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't particularly want to do the village again, I have to admit. Maybe I could work on the character that I did a Let's Play of. Well, a live stream playthrough of, I think. I can't remember. Maybe it's... I wonder if it's on that same profile. Like if I've got my Lord Zor character and then underneath it I've got data for a different character. I'm trying to remember. If I do, then I'll work on that character instead, but I don't remember what character that is. I don't know. Can't remember what I named the character and all that. Can't remember if it was male or female, I just don't know anymore. I probably don't need this stuff. I'll play it by ear, I'll see what I do and try. It'll be interesting nonetheless. But you see, the game that I'm playing right here is so similar to Try that I'm not as willing to play Try as I may have been in the past. When I was less invested in this game and still considered Try to be where the real enjoyment was. This was sort of, for the first few years of me playing it, a substitute for Try. I couldn't go back to Try because there was... Look at this guy's connection. That is shocking. But yeah, Try was where I really wanted to be, and this was just a weak substitute. Yes, it had more content. Yes, there was more going on in general, but it didn't have the community and the nostalgia that I got from Try. So, there you go. Attachment was not really there. But things have changed. I've grown quite attached to this game. And this is the character that I'm working on at the moment. Don't know. I suppose I'm still not too sure how I feel about it all. I'll have to put more thought into it. Oh god. Oh, I was very close to being able to roll through that tail swing though. Somehow managed to miss it. That was a huge wyvern fire, look at that. Bloody hell. I can't believe you didn't get knocked out of the air, you red bastard. Could have called him a rat bastard, actually. Because we all know he's actually called a rat. Red rat. I almost hesitate to call him red. He doesn't look that red in this game, does he? It's got sort of a rusty colour. More earthy than what I'd be comfortable calling red. I mean, red is an earthy colour, but it's not quite red, is it? Look at it. I'm not that good with my colour shade names, but... yeah. Bread Yeezers is very excited about the mention of Red Rat. It's probably the biggest reaction I've ever gotten out of him. Bloody hell. I suppose I have been abstaining from using that word, rat, but... yeah. Look at this. I swear, our weapons just look like... thank you. Our weapons look like they're on steroids. They're just bulging and gigantic and... almost unhealthy looking. If a weapon could look unhealthy, it would look like these weapons. That's very cool though, look at that. It's probably not something that you notice during combat, but there is actually an animation with this sword mode. It's shown in the weapon preview in 4th gen, but it's not here. But it's good to know that the animation exists here in this version as well. If you check the switch axe in the preview window of, for example, Generations Ultimate, it is actually covered, like the axe mode is covered in that dragon effect. I never say rat bastard, but it made me think of, when I called him a red bastard, oh, actually, rat bastard would be appropriate for this monster. I enjoy rat as an insult. You fucking rat. You are a fucking rat. Because, you know, it's like calling someone a cockroach. I keep that. I keep that in my back pocket, cockroach. Because it's got fucking impact. You call someone a cockroach. Oof. You see, you don't just call people cockroaches, you have to really mean it. There is vitriol associated with that word. You've got to really have a low opinion of someone to call them a cockroach. So, you know, when I feel like it's ready to be used, I use it, let me tell you, but it doesn't happen often. I don't think I've ever called someone a cockroach on camera. But, yeah. What would I like to use? I do happen to know what we're hunting, which is a good fucking start, but maybe I'll use a hammer. Oh, hold on. Let's not forget, this is a monster that's weak to fire. I have an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to use the weapon that I'm not entirely sure if I've even used on camera. Maybe I have used it once or twice. Maybe I'm being dramatic when I say that I had completely forgotten about it. I suppose in that moment, and today specifically, I had completely forgotten that I had this gun lance, but I think that I remembered it when I had just made all of my awakened gun lances, and I think I did make use of it at least once or twice. But it has been a little while, so let's get back into it, shall we? let's make use of our Imperial Sworn Lance. An alternative to my other two fire gun lances. I've got the Agnaktor gun lance, I've got the Morales gun lance, and I've got this. And right now, I'd rather use this more than either of those two previously mentioned. The stats seem good. Good enough. Let's get moving. Night Stalker. Ooh. Why is the weapon called End of Night, then? That's the question I need answered. Hello, Wonderlord. Welcome. Or welcome back, I suppose I can say. Looks like this is a normal shot one, yeah. Normal shotgun lance, which I quite enjoy. I like having a stronger heavy shot. What you doing? Dying is what you're doing. What? Of course, Gunlance isn't an amazing choice of weapon against a Nagakuga, because what is a Nagakuga? It is a monster that's constantly moving around, constantly changing positions. And what is a Gunlance? It is a weapon that A, doesn't move around a whole lot, and B, can have you getting flinched by your teammates all day. So it's a pretty shitty choice. I'm about to get my heavy shot off. Wasn't expecting that. Oh, I did actually hit Turbo Show. It was just delayed by like 3 seconds because his internet is abominable. Oh, I'm glad you like Green Nagakuga. He looks like Grover from Sesame Street. That's how I've always referred to him. He's just fucking ugly. Oh. Couldn't do much about that. Yeah, come on. Mr. Combo. Do your worst. Ow. I'd best heal up. It's an interesting lance antenna. I do see it every now and again, but I don't have it. Don't even know how it's made. Don't even know if it's good. I wasn't sure what the element was, but now I am sure. Because I'm looking at it. It's a Thunder Element Lance, which I wasn't really familiar with. This starts with purple sharpness, so I had best sharpen up. It doesn't have a whole lot of purple and white, but I don't know. I'd like to start with purple, you know. Ow. I tried to pull out my shield. I certainly attempted to do that. But you know, sometimes your attempts don't always work. Oh, here we go. Actually, I better start working towards a heavy shot. I think I'd rather that than whatever I was doing before. And I will heal up because that's the sensible thing to do. Silverwind and Lucent Nagakuga look similar. Who do you like more? They may look similar, but they are very different fights. If you're asking which one I prefer visually, Silverwind, I prefer visually. But in terms of fighting them, hard to say. I don't like either of them as far as fighting them. I guess they're both well designed. I don't dislike how they are designed as monsters, but as far as fighting them, I don't enjoy them. So, yeah, I'd say visually Silverwind is a bit cooler. I'd say Lucent Nagakuga is a bit more blue. I don't think blue is a very nice colour for a Nagakuga. But the silver is very cool. Someone is banging away in the apartment, by the way, so... This is, for those of you who remember him, this is Bob the Builder, The Return. Bob the Builder, The Return. Remember Bob the Builder? Fucking bastard. Yeah, he was a rat bastard. That guy. I had no respect for Bob the Builder. This is not going to be a return of Bob the Builder, fortunately, but, you know... For one reason or another, people can hammer in an apartment complex, and it can be audible in my apartment. So, there you go. The thing with Bob the Builder was that it wasn't just a hammer. A hammer was my least of my worries. Was the least of my worries. And there goes that monster. He's dead. I'd say 2 more hunts and then I'll finish up this live stream. But yeah, Bob the Builder had a fucking arsenal of power tools. And I do say an arsenal because it was used to greatly disrupt my life. He had the works, that man. And I was sick of it. It was the bane of my content creation, basically. I'm glad that that period of my life is behind me. It is very frustrating. I need to try and get out of the habit of directing my voice into the microphone, because when I do that, I'm actually directing plosives into the diaphragm, and I don't want to direct plosives into the diaphragm. My face is actually pointing in that direction, away from the diaphragm, but subconsciously I feel like I need to direct everything into there. And so plosives are going in there, and it's fucking annoying. I don't want that. That's why I had a windscreen in the past. It was to reduce that. But if I put the windscreen on, it's going to... you know, bulk up the microphone, it's going to cover part of my face. That's why I don't have it on right now. But I don't want plosives going inside. And like, see, if I'm pointing it that way, it's fine. But if I'm subconsciously aiming it in there, because that's where the microphone is, and that's where I want my sound to carry, my vocal sound to carry, that's going to be really frustrating. I have to just try and avoid that. It's very frustrating. Well, I would never recommend a person play this game on a 3DS, but if that's really your only sensible option, then fine. It's probably better to play the game than to not play it at the end of the day. Deep Sixer Devil Joe. Okay. He's going for slightly harder monsters now, but that's not to suggest that we won't be able to completely decimate this monster. I'll bring a hunting horn, how about that? I almost never hunting horn Devil Joe. He's saying, I think I know the keys for Seven Star quests. Why don't you fucking check them? Why can't you? We live in the information age with the internet at our fingertips, and you can't get a list of the fucking key quests, man. What's going on? I'm gonna use a gourmet voucher. I don't know why, I just don't want to risk missing Exchanger this time around. One of my pleasures in life is to ask a person who says that there's nothing wrong with the 3DS for Monster Hunter, and to ask them, what was your first Monster Hunter game? And they will invariably say, 4 Ultimate. Invariably. I suppose the only exception would be, say, Generations or Generations Ultimate. Or, well, Generations, yeah. Not Generations Ultimate. My first 3DS Monster Hunter was Generations Ultimate. Well, no, but it wasn't. It may have been double crossed, but it wasn't Generations Ultimate. The point is that, yeah, 4 Ultimate or Generations is usually the answer you get. That's why you don't mind the 3DS. It's because you learnt to accept it for what it was. And let me tell you what it was. It was shit. It was absolute garbage. That's what that system was for Monster Hunter. So if you learnt to just appreciate it for what it was, then fine, but yeah, it's a crappy system to play Monster Hunter on. I tend not to berate people for liking the 3DS, but it just gives me comfort to always ask that question and to always be given the same answer, and then I nod my head knowingly and move on. That's really the situation. I'm sure that there are people out there who didn't start on 3DS who think it's a fine console for Monster Hunter, but I don't know. They're terribly misguided, that would be my opinion. Apparently Tavo is being quite gracious. He doesn't want to host the monster. He understands that if he hosts the monster, it's going to be miserable for all of us, so that's why he didn't stay in the room with the monster. I was going to ask why he didn't want to solo it for a short time. It's because he didn't want to host it. Very good. He's doing good work. I'll do some self-improvement. I need to remember my songs. I actually do have melody durations extended as well. Alright. Fucking stop. Alright. High priority, or the high priority, is to... Oh, fuck off. Hopefully that moves me out of the way enough. Well, that Alteroth just had a bad day. Just ping for the benefit of anyone who's unaware of what he's eating. That's a lovely place for your head to be. I'm gonna go for the detonation if we don't mind. Alright, sorry Tavo. Anyway. Well, that's one way to push the monster away from the trap. We've got knockback protection as well. Fortunately, I did again manage to... I don't think knockback protection has a bonus, but I'll check. I really don't think it does. I can't quite remember... Okay, that's melody durations extended. Why are you I did not mean to press the R button. Must have just very gently knocked it. I didn't even realize I'd pressed it, to be honest. I don't know if there's a bonus for this, but I'm not going to find out because I'm being attacked by an angry dinosaur. Anyway. Trying to get in there and hit the head. If I can. Which I'm currently struggling to do immensely. Now I'm intentionally positioning myself to kill this fucking Rhinopolis. That is definitely my intention. Oh, actually, this is how I play it. Hold on. I'm doing attack up again. Stop it. Ugh. So that should reset the timer. One can only fucking pray that it's still dealing the damage despite it missing on my screen. Despite the attacks missing on my screen. Very good. Not. Well, he was about to eat. What a shame. That's why I do generally stop attacking when he's eating, but I suppose they didn't realize that he was eating. He may eat again, but who's to say he won't be interrupted again? Oh god. That came out of nowhere. Hit every one of us. Because what are we to do to avoid that? Fuck all. He should eat soon. He is hungry. Here we go. Give me a KO. Come on, baby. You fucker. Way off target. I was really expecting a successful head impact with that super pound, but it did not happen. Look at him limping out. Do some self-improvement. I don't really have a favorite monster of all time. I only have maybe a top 3 that can be interchanged. But Devil Joe is definitely one of my favorites. All Tri players will agree that Devil Joe is among the best. There was no monster that instilled fear in the hunter in the same way Devil Joe did back in those days. And so, even if he loses his impact as time goes on, and more games come out with Devil Joe in it, the memory of how he was in Tri remains quite clear in the minds of all Tri players, and as I am one such player of Tri, yeah, Devil Joe has a soft spot in my heart. As for other monsters, I don't know. I think all monsters are special in their own way. I could definitely list my least favourite monsters, but as for favourites, not really. They all have their own place. But yeah, Shaguru Magala is another one. Also based on a memory of having fought him for the first time in 4 Ultimate and really enjoying the fight. It was really intense coming into your first high rank urgent quest with Shaguru Magala. That was an experience. There was so much going on. Like, if you didn't know how to conduct the fight, and if you were focused on staying alive while hitting the monster and also witnessing and experiencing the majesty of this giant thing and its waving wings and all of the attacks that it did, it was just intense. Really amazing. very exciting first experience. Sadly, they trivialized the monster by having it be that he didn't have much health at all. You notice that particularly in Generations Ultimate, where he would just fucking die when you departed with a group of 4 to kill him, but yeah, it almost didn't feel like an Elder Dragon with the amount of health that he had. But that first fight is one of the most memorable that I've ever had against a monster in the series. Ivory laggy, no, definitely not. And I'm also a big fan of Jen, you know. I really like Jen Moran. Probably also based on my first experience fighting Jen Moran. I found him to be... Because I happened to go online with a really inappropriate loadout for him, and I got one shot. I mean, the Festival of Fear came to Lochlac, and I went and just to check out the monster soloed, or departed solo on the no HR requirement rappel quest, and I got one shot by one of the rocks that he shot out onto the boat. I didn't even know how I died. I was like, because, you know, you come into the quest for the first time, you don't actually know what's going on. I didn't realize that he'd shot a fucking rock into the air and it landed on me. I just saw like a puff of sand and I was dead, and I thought, just being in the presence of this monster killed me. This is pretty cool. So, yeah, I suppose I found out not long after that he was shooting rocks, but I was too busy sort of being amazed by the fact that I was on a boat on the sand. I mean, it was beyond anything that had existed in 1st and 2nd gen up until that point, and it was just, yeah, it was an amazing experience. Jen Moran doesn't mean much to some people these days, but back in Tri, it was very cool. Just in a different dimension to that of Lao Shanlang. What is our next hunt? I'll have to double check again. I get a lot of enjoyment out of Jen Moran as well. I almost never find him to be boring. If someone posts Jen Moran on the board, I'm ready to go. I'm excited. Even though I've done him so many times. I wonder how many times I've killed him in this game. Probably only about 60 times in this game. But I definitely did about 200 or 300 in Tri. And I did a lot in Portable Third as well, you know, just, I fought him a lot. What am I checking? Monster list. Jen Moran. 40. That's less than I expected. Well, there you go. I'll bring a water weapon. What would be a fun water weapon? No, I agree. Super Crimson is a very cool monster as well. I won't deny that. He'd definitely be among the best and most interesting. I love his theme as well. His theme just has that grandeur and intimidation factor that you would hope with a monster like that. And it's really nice. Very good fight. And they were very creative with how they changed him from standard Crimson. It was a strange thing to do as well. I mean, why make a Super Crimson? Well, they did it, and it turned out very nicely. It's just so random. Why not make a different Fatalis subspecies? Why have a Crimson Fatalis that's all fire? But it was a good idea, I think, in the end. I liked it. What are my Awaken? Oh, it's Raiders no, not that. It's the Nibble Snarf ones. Uber Death Snarfs, that's what they are. Those are my Awaken Water Dual Blades, I'll use them. They almost look like blunt weapons. Look at them. Well, impact weapons, I mean to say. maces. Have you ever considered doing that, Yamatori-san? It is pronounced Siu, by the way. The X is actually an S sound, Siu. As for how to pronounce the rest, I've got no fucking idea. Alright, I'm going to use a voucher for this. I'm not going to gourmet voucher it, that's excessive. Crimson is with a C, there's no CH, by the way. I say that for your benefit. The question mark guy was like, that looks like an actual shark. It's because it is, mate. It is a shark for a lance. That's why it's funny. Denizen of the molten deep. It's a bit dramatic. But I suppose that's what he is. He's in the volcano, and he burrows under the rock into the molten depths below, so he's a denizen of the molten deep. Ooh. Why am I going the long-ass way? I need to stop doing that at once. Apparently I don't know my way around the volcano. And apparently the question mark guy thinks that he needs to ping for Agnator. Which is quite adorable, but anyway. This guy was still wearing nappies when I was fighting fucking Agnator for the first time. In this area. Probably not. But no, I mean, the point is that I know where Agnator spawns. Although the direction I took may have suggested otherwise, I do know where this monster spawns. It's embedded within the essence of my being. I know where he is. Alright. I didn't have the stamina to do a roll, sadly. You can see that I just barely entered my red stamina, so I had to stand there and take it. That was my only choice. Thank you for that, Tarbo. Fucking hell! I will not excuse that behavior. That was just fucking... That was insane. If you were ever to apologize for anything, Tarvo, it would be for that, but it doesn't look like you will, so... take it from me, and take it beyond peradventure that that was fucking stupid, and I hate it when people do that. Oh, okay, he gave me a sorry with a sad face, okay. Anyway, like, that's my pet peeve, when people lance charge the monster and just destroy the team that's there to hit the monster during the trap. So, first of all, you've prevented people on the team from dealing damage in the moment when damage needs to be dealt because there's a monster in a trap, and then second of all, you've done it for a low damage attack, like a lance charge. So, yeah, that was not great at all. Really not great. Where are you? There you are. Thought I was a little further away from him than that. Oh, Tarbo has disconnected. I honestly wonder how he stays connected. Because to be honest, like, he seems as if he's barely connected the whole time. So, I really don't know how he manages it. N10's Lance charging now. Oh. That's a little dangerous. Can I get out of the way? I think I can. Yes. I will have a great stream. Thank you, Wonderlord. And sleep well. This will probably be my last hunt. Yeah, I'd say so. This should get me up to the 2-hour mark. Although I am tempted to do one more hunt for Tarbo, if he does return. Look at you with your Challenger +1. Or Challenger +2, I would imagine. I don't know why I said +1. Do not know what possessed me to say that. Oh. There we go. That is that hunt concluded. No, I'm not going to carve. I'm sure I've got everything I need from this particular monster. Apparently the Twitch chat is fucking up again. It's telling me that it's disconnected and then reconnected, presumably. Alright. As you like. Hopefully it's still working. The last thing I need is for people to send messages and then I can't see them. I really don't want to deal with that. I've had this problem with Twitch before. It has nothing to do with my live stream. It has everything to do with Twitch just being useless. You know, my stream can be smooth as can be. No drop in bitrate whatsoever. And then the chat just decides, I'm going to disconnect and reconnect. And sometimes it'll just stay disconnected. I don't know. I'll just pray that it's working fine. I don't have many all firestones, that's for sure. I'm surprised I've got so few of them. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't know if you guys are taking notice of just how bad the talismans are in this game. I'm not on a cursed table. I should make that very clear first and foremost. I'm on a good charm table. Again, for those who are unfamiliar with this fact, you're given a charm table and you have to stay on that for the whole time that you play on the character in question. But I have a good charm table. And yet, the vast, vast majority of the charms that I get, the talismans that I get, are just bad. They are not usable. They're not worth using. So, that's quite funny. I mean, even this here, Handicraft +5, 1 slot, that's decent. I can make use of that. And I have done so. But talismans in this game are A, hard to come by, or perhaps I should say good talismans are hard to come by, and second of all, what makes a good talisman in this game is quite honestly a very standard talisman in another game. One that would succeed this game. So a 4th gen game, specifically. I don't know if Tarbo's coming back. Here he is, just as I was mentioning his name, he has returned. Like I said, I don't know how he doesn't disconnect more frequently. He has to be the perfect example of just how bad your connection can be, yet you still manage to stay connected somehow and not break off. It's crazy. I will do one more hunt because Tarbo broke off for that last one, so... I shall do Stygian Zinogre now. A thunder weapon is in order. But I'm not sure what I'd like to use. I don't really want to use Switch Axe, so I won't. I was briefly tempted to, but decided against it. We'll go... No, I'm not using dual blades. I suppose I don't use the Nether Delemnity often enough these days, so I shall. When was the last time you guys saw me whip this out? Must have been a while ago. Strangely, I think this was my first nether weapon that I forged. I don't know why it would have been a longsword. I mean, I'm not much of a longsword user. My guild card reflects that. Like, that's not heavy longsword use. In fact, the longsword is my second least used weapon in the game. The least, of course, being Switch Axe. So I'm not sure why at that... No, that's actually wrong. It was the greatsword. The first nether weapon I forged was the greatsword, and then the longsword. I remember that. After that, I've got no fucking idea. Maybe the sword and shield. Interestingly, by the time I was making nether weapons, I think I wanted to take a break from sword and shield, possibly. It wasn't the sword and shield. I definitely didn't make the nether sword and shield. That was probably the third one that I made, but I definitely didn't make it as my first or second weapon. It was definitely greatsword first. I distinctly remember still hunting Goldrathian for Goldrathian materials to make the armor set, and then from there get mantles using a newly forged nether weapon, which was the greatsword. So, yeah, I do remember that. This is going back some years now. Alright, last hunt. Let's make it count. What's Entane got? He's got the Nether Salvator. Which is, as I understand it, a good pellet-heavy bowgun. But I don't think it shoots pellet level 3, interestingly. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I've seen it used as a pellet-heavy bowgun in the past by high-ranked people. But, I don't know, it doesn't actually shoot as much pellet as I expected it to. So it could actually have use outside of pellet. And it may not be the best pellet-heavy bowgun in actual fact. I don't inform myself about such things because I don't use pellet, okay? I was just going based on what other people were using, and yeah, upon having checked what the nether heavy bowgun shoots, I'm not thoroughly convinced that it's actually the best choice for pellet heavy bowgun. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, this is dangerous. Yeah. I've got nullberries. What about it makes it good for underwater pierce, specifically? I don't understand. Why not on land pierce? Are you really shooting pellet? I guess we are using longsword now that I think about it. Yeah, do continue. I didn't realise that we were all using longsword. Go for it. You see, pellet has its place, but people actually don't have... Oh, I see what he's done. It's not that we're using longsword, it's that he's actually buffed us so that we're not flinched by it. I think he used wide ranged and then... Or wide range and then ate something, I don't remember what. I don't think it's immunizer, it might be something else. Unless he shot demon. Maybe he shot us with demon. I don't know. He may have shot us with demon. Or the armor version of that. Which I forget the name of. That's probably what it was. Anyway. That does make it a viable strategy. But still, we are using longsword, which does resist pellet fairly well. He's done it again, yeah, he's shooting something at us. It allows us to resist pellet shots. That's a good strategy. And I have come across it before, but not recently. Well, almost in a bad position. Oh. May as well aim for that tail. And there we go. That was a fast hunt. Did he end up becoming enraged? Yeah, armor shots, yeah. But yeah, that's a good strategy. I should make a loadout for that. Yeah, you see, I don't know about the underwater siege mode bug. I'm not sure what that is. Is it that that particular gun can allow you to go into crouch fire underwater? I've heard about it, but haven't tried to use it myself. But yeah, that was definitely effective. I'll definitely be taking that. Oh, I will sell some of those bugs. I'm not in need of those. At all. Guard up +6 is alright, but no slots, so I'm really not in need of it. Anyway, this will conclude this live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you when I'm next recording Monster Hunter or anything else that you'd like to watch. And I shall bid you all farewell for now. Bye-bye.